How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I want to try this Paper Factory Section C contract, get that one done. Yeah, it's going to be two-parter because there's just too much in one mission to fit into a video. I'd have to heavily edit it, and it's kind of no point. These are the trucks I've selected. They've kind of been rejects from recent missions. I've wanted to use them, but for whatever reason, it's like they've not got enough power, enough grip. They don't have the right setups or whatever. Yeah, so for the main part, I'm going to have to do a lot of heading down towards that railway station and grabbing large pipes, small pipes, consumables, etc. I drew the line through there. I wasn't sure if I could ram through the wall there, so we'll see. We'll find out. If not, I'll go around the long way. And yeah, for a few other things, I'm also going to have to go to Cargo Creation Zone 1. I need metal rolls and metal beams, so I'll probably have to go to the beams factory, or the rolls factory, sorry. But as I said, this is going to be a two-parter, so the stuff I'm not going to do today is the metal rolls, the metal beams, and the bricks. Because the bricks, I'm not sure yet whether I'm just going to scavenge them or actually take 6 lots of cement and then 6 lots of packaged sand to the brick thing and build them. I'm not too sure. Seems like a lot of effort. There is enough brick frame buildings on this map that I can just get them that way, so we'll see. I've not actually finished that bit of the mission myself yet, so I'm still undecided. So yeah, for the first runs, which I'm going to do the fuel, I'm also going to grab one consumable, the plan was with each one, so that chips a few of them away. And then, yeah, also the small pipes. And as you can see, I got the Derry Longhorn first. I never remember the name of it. Was it the 3194 or something? I was going to do a road train situation. I was kind of going to do a mix of road trains and then separate runs. But while I was driving along now, I kind of expected the Derry to have a lot more power behind it. I've made sure the Navistar engine was turned on. I then changed to the Navistar, double checked, took the handbrake off. Maybe that was on. That does seem to have been a bit of an issue recently, but it actually let me winch to it this time without having to manually do it. And I don't know, I kind of expected the Derry to kind of wind up to normal high range speed, and it wasn't really having it. So in the end I decided to yeah, disconnect, and I'll just run them separately. I thought by then we'll kind of see how fast they can all go, because that to a degree is a lot of the reason why I ended up choosing the trucks tonight that I did. I've yeah, considered them for various other missions. I mean, this Derry, for example, I can't have, say, a step deck trailer or whatever, just a semi-trailer and a crane on the back. As far as the logging goes, I believe it can have the long log cradle thing on the back, but again, it couldn't also have a logging crane. There's just a few different scenarios where it never really worked out well, really, so yeah, I just kept skipping over them. But this was a pretty good excuse to go and use them all. They're going to be doing similar runs, so in the end I suppose I looked at it more like a bit of a timed event and just kind of see which truck can actually get its foot down, get going, and get chipping away at some of these things. There's definitely plenty of stuff to deliver. I counted it, I'll be honest, I can't remember now. I think it was 40 something maybe. Obviously if you consider the metal beams are 2 slots, the large pipes are 4 slots and all that, so there's quite a lot of stuff to take. And yeah, like I said with this Derry, I did expect it to have a bit more oomph to it in the high range gear. It's fine now when it's ticking along, it's a nice speed because the wheels are fairly decent size on the Derry, so all that's fine. But yeah, I don't know, I just thought it would have hauled that Navistar along with a bit more, I don't know, a bit more conviction than it did. I'm cutting through it, I'm going to edit these chunks out. I wanted to try it. I mean, I could have turned left at the fuel station and kind of cut through a way I'm going to cut back, basically. So I was going to make a loop of the situation. Again, while I was bringing the vehicles down here, I was also kind of curious. We'll see, can any of these make it through there? They can, but it was very sketchy, very slow. I probably cut about 2 minutes out there. I had to winch to a few things just to help me along, so yeah. I mean, the Derry, this one's had quite a lot of help since the beginning of the game. It's got diffs always on now, which I believe it didn't used to have diffs, or maybe they were just engageable. And it's got the all-wheel drive. Again, that appears to always be on. That might have been engageable. They've also added that dead axle in the middle can actually be lifted out of the way now, which is nice, because that was one of the things that used to ruin this thing, because it'd catch on everything. I apologise, there is a couple of glitches going on again. I really don't know why it's getting me as bad as it is recently. So yeah, this is Cargo Creation Zone 3, so it's basically at the railway station. You'll see, actually, I think I'm about to double round and grab. I need, yeah, 4 fuel, but later on I need 6 consumables, so my plan was there was 2 consumables already in here. Before I sort of started this video, I kind of had a little look around at all the different places that have got cargo, worked out trying like roughly the most efficient way to get everything done. So yeah, there's the 4 fuel, 1 consumable, so that'll get the fuel ticked off the list. Then I'll only need 5 consumables, and then the plan was, if I had the Navistar with me, I would have got 2 lots of small pipes and then 1 more consumable, so that would have kind of got them ticked off. And yeah, but plans slightly changed a little bit along the way, nothing special. Nothing, yeah, too crazy. Like I said later on, I might end up having to break my own rule that I kind of said the other day and use an 8-slot trailer to get those metal beams. However, the route I can take is basically main road all the way, so it's not really... It was when I tried to take the metal beams, like, going the opposite way to the way I am now, that it went horrifically wrong over these hills. By the way, I mean, look, again, for this Derry, it ran out of high juice going up that hill, and then I put it into auto, and it still didn't like that. It couldn't really handle it. I had to drop it into low range, which again definitely makes me lean towards, like, they've purposely broke the gearboxes. It's not just, I don't know, an unfortunate side effect of like when they added the fine-tune gearbox. Like for example, the slow reverse gear, it going into reverse being too slow, that was an unfortunate side effect. They've already fixed that. But yeah, they appear to have like kind of broken auto a bit to make the low ranges a little bit more usable, but I don't know. This late in a game, with everybody used to the mechanics of it, I don't think it was a good idea. It just... yeah, it just comes off feeling like every truck feels a little bit more disappointing than it used to be. I can't stand really the Derry 4520, as sad as it is, because I certainly wouldn't like it. It looks a beast, all the rest of it, great horn, but just... it doesn't work very well. This Derry I've always said is better, and I still think it is better, but yeah. The fact that it couldn't even make it up that hill is, yeah, a little bit... well, we'll be going past that sort of the same route a little bit later, so we'll see how some of the other stuff does. I could have just gone down to the end of the road and crossed over the bridge here, but again, I was curious, just as a little kind of testing session for a few different trucks that I don't normally bring out all that often. I thought I'd cut through this river. The main thing here is underneath the river there's a few massive rocks. You can see those 2 in front of me, so you kind of have to swerve off to the left anyway. I mean, again, if this was some kind of official river crossing, you would say to somebody, fetch the dynamite, we need to remove some rocks from the driving path. The nice thing is though, at least going this way, once you get your truck far enough into the river, the current kind of helps you along regardless. Kind of gets you to the other end, then I can claw my way out of there. Sorry again, I'm talking like a bit of a madman. I'm a little bit tired again, but we're all good. No headaches or anything, just bit of the traditional insomnia. As well, I mean, I've always known it really. The Derry's got one hell of a wide turning circle. It's probably rivals the twin steer, which is saying something really. At least the twin steer's got a good reason for having a ridiculously wide turning circle that is kind of 2 or 3 times longer than a lot of the trucks in the game. But yeah, this thing caught me out. Like, I swear to you there, I was turning way back before I got to the crossroads. I was even laughing to myself now as I was doing it. I was like, really? And maybe I just kind of hooked it over the edge so the turning wasn't really amounting to anything. But yeah, that was there's understeer and then there's just no steer. That was more of the latter. I mean, the good thing is you've got to take all this stuff to this paper factory here. At least the paper factory is in a relatively decent area of the map. It's pretty accessible. It's a fairly direct route from the garage. A lot of the stuff by chance that I needed. Again though, depending what stuff you scavenged from where on various different missions, you're going to have like different stuff available in different warehouses perhaps to me. So for me it panned out quite nice that I could just keep getting a lot of stuff from the railway bit. And as I said, yeah, the paper factory's pretty close by. Stevie Wonder, of course, he's having a go again. You don't need eyes when you drive this. You just have to believe in the spirits. You do have to be very superstitious to drive this, but I heard it helps. And again, I like the Navistar. I like any excuse to drive this if I can really. Again, it's one of them that doesn't always make it into a lot of missions, particularly recently with like the whole login situation. it's nice to have a logging crane, and this doesn't accept like the long log carriage and the crane. So it can tow long logs though, and I've used it for doing it. It did pretty decently. I mean, going through here, some trucks have been struggling to motor even through that section. This thing, once you're in high and it's nicely wound up in high, it's just a very good truck. Like I said, the biggest punishment, so to speak, that this get is it's ridiculously juicy on the fuel, but it has got a relatively nice fuel tank size. That's why I just flew into the station now quickly. Normally I didn't with the other trucks, but with this one, yeah, I think I was already like 50 litres down since like the garage. And yeah, the other thing is obviously it does generate rather a lot of smoke. Personally, for whatever reason, the smoke just doesn't bother me. I find it quite comical, and yeah, I tend to drive with my camera at an angle quite a lot anyway, because I like to see what the front wheels are doing. I mean, if I'm just motoring down a road, I'll sort of look straight ahead because there's no point, but yeah, I like to sit, yeah, like on that angle, because it was a big thing back in MudRunner. There was not necessarily a lot of feel of what was going on with the wheels unless you could look at them, and then it just, yeah, all clicked, made more sense. Basically, I was going to cut through the water, and then I thought, oh, I'll see the difference. I'll cut up left through here, go through this warehouse, and I was going to kind of go up through the trees round to the railway. But I thought, while I'm here, I'll check what cargo it's got. And it had 2 lots of small pipes, which is what I need. So I was like, oh well, fair enough, I'll grab that. I was just having a quick check as well, hoping maybe there'd be a consumable, because initially the plan was, yeah, to go to the railway, grab 2 lots of small pipes and a consumable. Hence why I'm flying out here now. Then I slam it into reverse, because I was going to turn around, go through the trees, go to the railway, and grab 1 consumable. And then I remembered, I only need 5 consumables now, and these trailers can hold 5 things, so I don't need to get another consumable to knock it down to 4. And then I'll just have a spare slot on whatever I use to go and get the consumables. So, brain in action. It worked. It worked just a little bit slow. Didn't work in time for me not to stick it in reverse, but we got there in the end. And again, don't worry about eyes, you imagine where you need to go, and Stevie Wonder just goes there. There must be another goddamn professional as well, or at least loaf trained, at the very least. Again, I find it funny, these sections along here. I didn't really go that wide there, but yeah, in this game they offer you things that they call roads, apparently, but a lot of the time you're better off driving to the left or right, just through the grassy sections, and you get more grip and speed than the patches I've added in this game. And again, I can't quite pin down what's going on since, like, probably the Phase 3 update. I'm leaning more towards now that I heard about some physics update they were doing, and yeah, to me, I don't know if I'd call it a physics update so much as just like a slight nerf to everything, because everything just feels slightly off. It's like rediscovering a load of trucks again for the first time, but not necessarily in a good way. Yeah, anyway, that's the small pipes delivered. Next, what have I gone for this time? I mean, look at the loaf. He's dancing around, he's so eager. It's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? We're going. Sometimes, after you've packed a load of loaves, it's handy to like unpack and pack again. For whatever reason, the game keeps making them jiggle around and go crazy every now and then. But you get used to it. It's still worth bringing a loaf. For the extra 20 seconds per loaf added to each trailer, they could have come in handy. Well, I mean, look, that's already... Admittedly, it didn't blow a tyre or actually delete the suspension, but if it had done, that loaf would be there. And he would have saved me. Yeah, I wanted to bring this out, the Western Star 49x. I want to like this truck. I like the look of it, I like the horn, I kind of like the general setup. It's got a lot of power, it's got a lot of things going for it. It's just the grip on it is crap. And long story short, I was going to the Cargo Creation Zone 1. I've already been there in the Azov, but ignore that, I'll explain that in a minute. Yeah, there was no fuel left, not enough fuel to build things. So... what did I bring? I think it was the Azov I brought that originally got the trailer, that fuel trailer you just seen, in the water, and then for whatever reason the winch point wasn't appearing, it just wasn't letting me winch to it. So I tried to go through with the Western Star, that also wouldn't let me winch to the fuel thing, so I kind of just skipped that. Oh, the cut there, by the way, I went and got a Tatran, and then I did winch to the fuel thing, it let me eventually, and then I just went and topped up the generator, did a load of bits and bobs, built enough metal beams, etc. Like I say, you can see the Azov here at the minute, but skip that for now. I've already packed those metal beams back into the cargo creation zone, and like I said, for part 2 of this video, I'll kind of do that run. That's why I brought the Azov, because I wanted to bring the fuel tank with it, and I knew that the Azov, the old Dolphin's pretty good at hauling. But yeah, it just wouldn't let have a winch point. It wasn't that the Dolphin couldn't handle it. It wasn't even allowed to handle it. And again, that's been a pretty recent problem. I wouldn't even say as far back as like the update for Phase 3. That feels like an update, I don't know, a week or 2 ago. The amount of times it's just not letting me winch to trucks and trailers and things that are way within range. It just doesn't offer it. Is yeah, getting a little bit annoying, because there's a lot of things I'm doing where it just, that's it. It immediately like kills your plan, and it's, you got to find something else to do, or sit there messing around, keep activating the winch and hoping for the best. I mean, that's why there was a lot of messing around and editing there. That's why there's an Azov already there and all sorts. So it doesn't help with the old videos, but yeah, it's just annoying for the gameplay in general. I had a feeling this thing would absolutely suck going back over there. Again, it's a shame. It's just the grip on it's terrible, and I've got the chained on, and I get it. Maybe there's other tyres that might be better, but because they're not the mud chained, like if they were the mud chained, I'd be very happy with them. But yeah, these sort of trucks, they don't get offered any sort of muds, so I think any of the choices I've got is the off-road or the all-terrain. But again, the chain can at least help bite their way over like rocks and little rock ledges and barriers and all that. But I don't know, I've always thought with the 49X, it's just, there's a lot of ingredients there to be a good truck. But yeah, it's just, maybe it's a really light truck as well, so it doesn't ever really plant itself in the ground well enough to be able to apply the power. Like I said, it's got S plus on the power, it's all good in that respect. It's just never really been that good at hauling anything other than itself, really. You notice though, even back there, the Tatran still was feeling it a little bit crawling through that river section. I mean, you can literally see when you drive into it, whatever, just a section of that river has been dialed up to 11 spinal tap style. And yeah, everything, like when I went on the way there with the fuel tank with the Tatran, it instantly, as soon as it touched like that area of water, it instantly slowed down to like 1 mile an hour. And I don't know, yeah, they've just gone over the top with it as usual. But again, at least it is only a little river crossing. Could be worse, could be a Mandra levels of Trollish, where it's like 3/4 of the entire map is a goddamn beast, and super snow, the likes of which we've never seen. And yeah, you see, for this sort of stuff though, road hauling, this is where I do like the 49X, because it motors along pretty nicely. It's got pretty nice steering, again, nice power, it winds up through the gears pretty well, even though it's got a full trailer. And the fact that they've messed around with the gearboxes recently, I've noticed a lot more trucks struggling just to build up in auto to 8th gear out of 8 if they've got a trailer and cargo, whereas that was actually still managing it pretty well. So in that regard, it's a nice truck. But if anything, this is like, considering it's all-wheel drive and it has got the option of diff locks, I would practically put this as a very good highway truck, really. I was going to say like a better version of the GMC 9500, but I'd probably sort of prefix that with pre-all-wheel drive upgrade. Like, I actually think the all-wheel drive GMC handles things better than this, which is pretty shocking. And I get it, on the one side it's good that it's kind of not pay to win, but I don't know, it'd at least be nice if it was pay for a bit of fun. I mean, there's plenty of other stuff that could outshine this anyway, but yeah, it's not very good. The only truck I would buy, if I could just sell them all back, the only one I would keep is the Navistar. That is definitely worth like £1.69. It's also about half the price or something of this. Again, it was a pre-order bonus for a lot of people, but yeah, all the other one, the Apache and this. The Apache is terrible. This is just, meh, not quite good enough to, certainly not to justify the money. And the Navistar is just a nice truck. It's a nice one to have in your fleet if you can. Yeah, at least for this one, now I've gone and done like the annoying bit of going across that river. I've already got my consumables. Like I said, I was able to fit 5 on, so didn't have to worry about going back to that other one. And again, I think this is like quite a good looking truck. I kind of like the whole situation with the axles, potentially, but I don't know, at the same time I think it would have been cooler. I've seen them on YouTube, like, basically that middle rear axle is, well, not the middle one, but the one nearest to the front is a liftable axle, and it's a dead axle, there's no power going to it. It's good, and it's kind of like, oh, that's a cool feature, you can lift the axle and all that, but it's like, that's it, it doesn't do anything other than that. I don't even think it'd work, like, if you put it down to spread your weight going across ice, it's going to be your front that'll punch through, if anything. Yeah, there's setups on YouTube where basically all three of those rear axles are fixed, and they're live axles, they've got power going to them, and I think that would have been a more interesting setup of a truck to have in this game, like an 8-wheel drive truck that looks more like the 6-wheel drive ones. Yeah, anyway, next one down, consumables. So it ended up being a fairly long video, but each truck kind of didn't take that long in its own right. I cut a little bit out there, I'm not going to lie, it was terrible driving on my part, but I come out of the garage, I turned, and compared to some of the trucks I've been driving like the Derry, this thing turns like a beauty, and I basically turned far too quick when I left the garage. And scraped myself along that post, hit the trailer, kind of got hooked, and yeah, it was a disaster, so I just kind of edited it from there. But again, this is the GMC 9500, rarely used really, if I'm honest. And in a way, that's kind of a shame, because it is actually a pretty solid truck these days, especially since they've given it the all-wheel drive upgrade. As I've said before, but for those of you that haven't heard me say it, they kind of balance things in this game with in mind of what they thought the truck would remain as. And what I mean is, like, this was a highway truck. I don't believe it was ever meant to have all-wheel drive. That made it a bit crap in the game, but because of that, they gave it, like, other advantages. They didn't have to punish it elsewhere, so it's got a decent fuel tank, it doesn't use a lot of fuel, and just bits and bobs like that. Once they actually added the all-wheel drive upgrade, they didn't nerf anything else to kind of balance it after that, so you end up getting a truck that is actually very good. For the money, it's a bargain. It's way cheaper than a lot of other trucks. You can see through that section I just drove through, it went down there and back up better than that 49, that Western Star 49X just did. And I don't know, it's got very nice steering. Because it's a highway truck, they all tend to have pretty nice, fluent, responsive, yeah, just nice steering compared to some of the there's some horrific steering trucks in this game. Yeah, and like I said, overall it's very good. I mean, the twin steer is another one that they clearly never really had the idea of adding all-wheel drive on that. So that had advantages of ridiculous power. It's got a pretty decent sized fuel tank. Doesn't nail the fuel considering how meaty it is. And then when they added the all-wheel drive, they didn't do anything else to punish it. And it results in like a really solid truck. More solid than they ever really planned on, basically. And yeah, that's what I think with this. I did edit that out. I admit it didn't go too well through there. One of the things that probably holds this back a little bit compared to stuff like the Taiga, etc. I believe this has got like 47-inch tyres. The stuff like the Taiga, the Dolphin, they've got sort of 51-inch tyres and that, so that gets it a little bit. But to be fair, I've drove just about everything through that little lake section and everything. The Derry didn't like it through there, the Navistar doesn't, the Dolphin doesn't. I don't think anything does. So I won't really hold it against it in that regard. But yeah, overall, I mean, this is possibly quite an overlooked truck for a lot of people. And again, I get it, there is better options if you're going to go for some serious off-roading, but this is honestly a good truck, better than it probably gets credit for. Now it's got the all-wheel drive option. For that though, you will obviously need the season pass, because you get the all-wheel drive option on, is it Lake Coved? I believe it was on Lake Coved, so if you just have the base game, sadly you won't get it. Somebody was telling me, say for example, if you have the base game and you can't get the all-wheel drive for this, if you join somebody's online game and you're able to get onto Lake Coved, on their Lake Coved, and you find the upgrade, you'll unlock it as well, if that makes sense. So let's just say you have a mate that has the season pass and you don't, just make sure you join them on an online game and find all the upgrades on the season pass maps first, well, I say all the upgrades. You got the all-wheel drive for this, and you got the all-wheel drive for the twin steer. I think that's the only sort of base trucks that they improved. But yeah, I've heard it worked, and that's a possible way to get the upgrades without having to get the season pass if you don't want to. And to be fair, not that I'm trying to sell the season pass or anything, but for 20 quid there is, if you like the game, there's a lot on there for 20 quid. Like, if you actually think 6 maps so far, we've got another 2 to come, there's another, like, you end up getting about another 10 vehicles and various upgrades and stuff. It's not bad. There's certainly worse deals out there anyway. Again, I'm not trying to push it or sell it, it makes sense to me. They ain't paying me to say that. But yeah, I'll admit I do enjoy this game. I don't regret buying the season pass. I regret buying the Apache. I don't really regret buying the Western Star, but it is pretty crap. I also, I don't know, I certainly wouldn't miss it if it's gone. Again, for no particular reason, I just cut through here to see how well it'd do, and to its credit, I mean, it made it through there unaided. I didn't need to fling a winch out or anything like that. And yeah, that's what I mean with this truck. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot to mention though, sorry, while I was rambling on. Slightly back, after I got out of the railway station, you'll notice that this thing just motored straight up the hill, unlike the Derry. Yeah, I mean, there's just something that shows you, like, step deck trailer, a loaf on it, cargo, and this thing absolutely just hauled up there. It's like a lesson in rev caps and speed caps in this game. The Derry felt like it was too much of a severe rev cap going on, and it died out at high range. This, by comparison, you can hear it's got a nice high revving sound to it, and even when it was struggling, well, I say struggling, feeling it that it was driving up the hill, you just heard those revs winding up nice and high, and it kept it in high, motored up there. So yeah, in that sense, it's a better hauler off-road than the Derry, which is pretty crazy, but true. Again, I'm still of the opinion that, I said it ages and ages ago, right near the start of the game, that maybe SnowRunner were trying to get some deal going with Oshkosh for, like, the naming rights, and maybe Oshkosh got too greedy, and that's why this game have kind of overly punished the Derrys, just to kind of, a bit of a fuck you really to the yeah, the Oshkosh people. I don't know, because I can't see why else. I mean, the 4520 is particularly horrifically represented in this game, but yeah, even the other Derry is not. It could be better, especially if stuff like that GMC is actually outshining it on those hills. So at this point, got them dropped off. Yeah, that's the cargo containers done. Now I need to go and get 2 large pipes. And yeah, I mean, instead of going to get another truck from the garage, I thought, while I'm here, I've got a load of trucks loaded up with empty trailers. I've got to go back to the railway, so it's not too far away, so yeah, I thought I may as well get going with these. I was thinking at this point I could have took a road train again, because the large pipes take 4 slots each, so that's going to be 8. But I don't know, I kind of thought, sod it. I've done quite a lot of road trains recently, and don't get me wrong, I certainly enjoy them, but it does limit your speed to like a bit of a slower speed, and I was just in the mood for kind of dropping the hammer a bit tonight and seeing what the actual individual trucks on their own can handle. Yeah, see, I could have cut through again that way, but if I cut through the stream going the opposite way, the current will be against me, so it'll be more difficult to cut back that way than it was the way I've been using. So we'll stick to this. This is like kind of the easy, the nice route. And that's the thing with this map, like, there's too many trollish elements on this map, I agree, definitely. Like, the river needs to be toned down. A lot of the mud sections kind of on the main route through this map need to be toned down. The farm section needs to be toned down, or again, it'd be pretty cool if there was some kind of mission that you deliver water pumps and the water level actually reduces and makes the terrain a little bit more agreeable. But once you learn the way, like the little tricks and the fastest ways, again, I can't remember who, but thank you to whoever had told me, like, just use this way instead of cutting through the lake. Yeah, once you learn the ways of the map, like, you can find pretty quick ways to get from one end to the other. I mean, that was the biggie for me with Lake Covd. I really didn't like Lake Covd at first. I didn't like it because it punished free exploration. It forced you to stick to the roads and the routes that they'd predestined via Super Snow. And yeah, I really wasn't a fan of that, because I liked the challenge and the freedom of like, well, I'm not going to follow the road, I'm just going to go hurtling through this forest, wiggle my way through the trees, etc. Don't worry about that car. Mr. Lone Wolf delivers. We do not take responsibility for your property. Yeah, and again, they do it quite a lot with tree stumps in this game, in this map in particular. They just put tree stumps in places that it's like they've decided, yeah, we're not going to let you go that way, we're not going to let you use that route, and again, it feels like it runs against the nature of kind of like, give you a mad map. See that tree stump there? If I went to the right of that building, there is tree stumps in the way, specifically and only so that I can't cut down the right hand side of that building, and it's like, why? But you're going to let me cut over a railway, which is probably weirder. Like, if anything, you would go the other way. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm not too keen on that they choose where I can't go, rather than letting me work out the hard way that isn't the best way to go. By the way, yeah, up that hill again, Navistar, very good in high range, but it motored its way up that hill, unlike the Derry. So a lot of these trucks, to be honest, well, I had no doubt that the Navistar would do pretty good there, but the fact that the bloody GMC 9500, a highway truck that's probably worth a third or something, if that, of the Derry, is yeah, it just shows you they need to start buffing some of these trucks. And if anything, this physics update, either the physics update or the way they broke the gearboxes when they added the fine tune, has, yeah, made everything like, it's nerfed everything when they should be buffing everything, really. And again, I don't know why, I needed to know these things. Thought we'd give it a go in the Navistar. I did it in the Derry, I did it in the GMC. Did I do it in the 49x? Oh no, I didn't need to, did I? Thank God. I don't think the 49x would have done well through here at all. I mean, even again with that floating axle thing it's got, it serves no purpose, but it's just something else to get in the way. And I kind of get it with the Derry, because the Derry is kind of like traditionally like that in real life and all the rest of it. Like I said, with the Western Star 49x, there's all kinds of different setups online, and an actual triple rear powered axle setup would have been a lot of a cooler of a thing in this game. I've been thinking for the last few days as well, because someone was mentioning obviously they might add more things after the season pass stuff's done, and yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to start trying to hammer loads more trucks, because I mean really, when you think, the Navistar's there because it was a pre-order bonus. They've added the Apache and the 49x, and they've not really done a lot since, well, they've not done anything since then. So I wonder if they're kind of hoarding and saving up things they're going to add, but they're just waiting for the whole season pass to be over, so they can't take any flack for not giving it as part of the season pass. I was only wondering that, as in, I wonder if we're going to see like 1 or 2 more trucks get added in the DLC bit, or if they're suddenly going to be like, you know, truck packs and all sorts. I don't. It depends what they add, really. I might try some of them out. I won't just be buying everything willy-nilly, not if they're going to be like, say, the Apache was crap, the 49x is, I wouldn't recommend buying it. If you haven't bought it, I wouldn't waste your time. There's better trucks. So yeah, we'll see if that's if they're waiting for them to go pay to win. But anyway, the Navistar gets its job done. We'll slip that large pipe in the middle. Of course, I did what she said. Well, that's 1 down anyway, we need 2 of them. But again, an 8 slot would have been horrifically bad to take along that route I just used for the Navistar, so I was better off doing 2 separate journeys. At that point, I had a selection of trucks at the paper factory or whatever, or yeah, the paper factory. I just thought, sod it. I'm going to go back to the garage and get one of these, the P512 PF. It is actually pretty enjoyable if you're mostly motoring along the road routes. It's got a very nice pace to it. For a non-all-wheel drive truck, I mean, it's because it's kind of like a normal truck but slightly enlarged, so yeah, I like it, to be honest, considering. I mean, of the 3 trucks they added, the bore is definitely pretty terrible. When I did the review for that kind of hit me just how under-equipped and inept that thing is. I do like the Paystar. It's definitely a bit iffy on the fuel. Yeah, I think this might actually be my favourite truck of the 3 new ones that they added. I mean, again, it sits on that side of like a truck is going to kind of, I'm naturally going to have a bar set in my mind for what I expect from it based on the looks, the setup, etc. And when trucks fall lower than expected, that's obviously a disappointment. The Ball, for example, the Derry being the prime example. Yeah, this one, as it isn't all-wheel drive and all the rest of it, that is in fact a telegraph pole. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it, you know, to be like the greatest truck in the game or anything, but all things considered, it just feels like a nice truck. It kind of works slightly better than expectations. It's got custom tyres on it, so maybe like that's kind of a key element in this game that seems to make the difference, if you can add custom tyres onto trucks. But then it's a shame with stuff like this. I mean, the Boar, again, as another example, it's a DLC truck, so they're not going to let anybody mod a version of it, which is a shame, because that means we're just then stuck with, well, yeah, whatever they give us. It's the same with that 49x, for example, and it's one of them where, at least if they're going to kind of hog it and not let anybody else make any variations of it, then at least just give us every option available. Give us like P16 custom tyres and yeah, just everything. It's like they really need to do something, or again, it couldn't be that hard surely if they did something like did a modded version of a Boar that we can't download the mod unless you've got the season pass or something. It can't be that hard to make that happen, and it's a shame because there's a lot of potentially good trucks that'd be ripe for upgrades and modding that are just, yeah, they're not allowed, and it's a shame. Like I said, the F750 would be a cool one. Maybe the Taz and the Warthog, they could have more weight added and all sorts. That'd probably help because they're a bit too light for their own good. Well, I don't know, yeah, the dumper truck, maybe could make an all-wheel drive dumper truck. To be honest, I don't really use that a lot regardless. Same with the forklift. The forklift was a pretty cool gimmick, but I'll be honest, I've not really got a lot of use out of that. But then, yeah, with these trucks, someone could sort the Boar out, put custom tyres on it, make it a little bit better in that sense. Preferably a better selection of tyres, wider tyres, so it's got a bit of a better ground pressure situation. I mean, this, for the most part, I certainly wouldn't say no to all-wheel drive, but yeah, it does well without it. I mean, it's like the P16. I wouldn't say no, really, if they added an all-wheel drive option to the P16. I'm obviously going to get it and use it, and I would no doubt be turning it on 99% of the time, but the P16 just works well for what it is, and I enjoy it as a truck. Yeah, it's all good. And again, this is, to me, it's like a baby version of the P16. Sort of faster, not as good of a heavy hauler, but still a decent one. It's been doing alright so far. I kind of went that route instead of cutting through the that lake section. And at those rocks back there, I had to reverse up a bit. I mean, because the front wheels aren't powered, they are not actually going to bite their way up the lip of that rock there, so I just had to go round to like a smoother bit. I mean, that's where it's going to suffer a little bit with that. It's got no chain either, but like I said, custom tyres, so I'll take that. Again, another large pipe. That's definitely what she said. What the hell, that's driving past my house like a spaceship or something. And yeah, well, this is going up this hill now as well. We'll see how this does compared to the Derry. There's a nice fat drift on its way round with a trailer. Loaf's having a good old time. And I mean, considering this thing isn't even all-wheel drive, look at it, absolutely just muscles its way up there, no issues, there's plenty of power left. The point is, the rev caps aren't so severe that it's allowing enough revs to remain, that it powers its way up the hill. The Derry just had too much of, like, I don't know, I believe the rev caps kind of interrupt the sweet spot, and then it just decides to like lose revs rather than, yeah, put some effort in, dig deep, squeeze that pedal further into the floor, and get up the hill in one go. And I suppose while we're here, why not? We'll take it through. It didn't really help that I nearly rolled on the way. That's probably one thing I would change about this, actually. It's a little bit tippy. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like insane, not like the ANK or the Royal. But it'd be nice if there was a little bit more weight lower down. particularly when you got the crane, like, or if you have the logging crane on this, that definitely starts to make it a little bit more top heavy and can get a little bit iffy. All things considered now though, again, this isn't all-wheel drive. I've got it low range with the diffs on, but it is actually driving through here. I can't remember for the life of me. I was trying to think of it earlier, but I did get stuck going through here. No, I can't remember what it was in. But something that, you know, you would think is like a fairly decent truck. Again, it's pretty damn slow. I admit I probably, in the scheme of things, should have just gone further down the road and across the bridge, but why do the easy way when you can do the stupid difficult way? I just like the fact of when I can look around and I'm driving a truck through a river. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Especially when I'm not paying for it. But yeah, I mean, credit where it's due, it made it. Again, apologies for the tiny little glitches. To be fair, at least I don't believe, I've been rabbiting on a bit, but I don't believe the glitches hit me anywhere that were like important sections of the video. Just saved ourselves probably 10-20 seconds throughout the whole video. You take them 10-20 seconds and you enjoy them. I remember as well, it's not a ridiculously bad turning circle, but without those front-powered wheels, yeah, you're sort of understeering your way around the corner, you're waiting for the wheels to kind of scuff in and carry you around. I was bloody lucky there that I sort of hit the curb with the wheels, because I was about to go flat out into that post. Then again, another large pipe, we'll squeeze it in there. That is of course what she said, and yeah, I'm going to kind of call it there for this one. That's nearly everything done. I now need to do 4 metal beams, which I'm thinking is the P16 I'm going to do that with. 4 metal rolls, I'm thinking Dolphin. I nearly said Dolphin and Lolf. Dolphin and Loaf. For the rolls, I'll get beams, turn them into rolls. And then I don't know with the bricks. I'm either going to use one of these to go scavenging, make something else entirely, maybe Bruce to go scavenging, or I might even make some bricks. I'm honestly not decided yet. But yeah, this is the fleet of trucks we use, the Derry, the Navistar, the 49x, the GMC 9500 and the P512 PF. All went pretty well, all things considered. The Derry was probably the biggest letdown. It was only going up that hill that disappointed me really. But yeah, like I said, that's part 1 of this done. Overall, it's a pretty good mission, a nice amount of stuff to do, nothing too trollish. Well, we'll see. Still got the metal beams and everything. But anyway, that's about it for today, though. I hope you've enjoyed. They're the ones that I'll be sending on the next part. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. And I'll be back soon.